Hey. Um, so things got a little quiet. I have a lot of projects on standby, and I decided to try to go through the DNN GitHub issue backlog and try to clean it up, remove duplicates, close issues that are not actionable, and try as much as possible to move every issue into a possible milestone. That's not set in stone, but at least it's going to help us have a hand on things and try to plan releases, knowing what's assigned on each release. Um, First of all, I'm gonna advertise that I am doing this, so if people want to join, I haven't done this a lot, so I don't know exactly where to invite people. This is to share. I guess this. Yep. Okay. Boom. And let's go into general. I'm on Slack, which is a little more private, so I'm not gonna put this on screen. I am doing. I'm gonna put it in the awareness group. Backlog cleanup. And I'm gonna copy this link and put it also in here. Okay. So I'm gonna move this out of the way, and this on this screen. There is a chat, so if people join, we'll be able to have a chat about some of these issues. I know it's kind of late Saturday night, so I don't know who's gonna join, but here we go. So basically on this tab here, I have all the issues filtered with no milestone. That could be done with a little drop down here. And I'm going through all these issues. I started 2 days ago, and some of them I assigned the pending verification, so there's some sort of question or discussion still going on before we can do any decision on those specific issues. So these ones, they should stay pretty much at the end, and I'm going right above those ones and trying to see if they can be reproduced, if the issue is something actionable or it's just a discussion. So there's an issue with jQuery Migrate v3, which was included since the DNN 9.2. It does break many JS libraries, including AngularJS, when using $.data with an object as a second argument. There's a JS fiddle. String replaces not a function. jQuery data should work with no issues. While removing jQuery Migrate could not be an option at the moment, upgrading it to 3.0.1 will fix this error. More info can be found in these reported issues. And I think that was bumped. I think this was broken on a client total teams. The slider doesn't work anymore. DevTools says Bootstrap JavaScript requires jQuery 191 or higher, but lower than version 3. Yeah, that's a different thing. But let's go see what's on the actual repository GitHub DNN software. And jQuery Migrate should be in the JavaScript libraries in DNN platform. JavaScript libraries, jQuery Migrate, and And the version we are using is 311. Oh, 300? Oh, jQuery 300 required. Upgraded jQuery to 311. I'm not super familiar with jQuery Migrate. Three one zero. And if I look at well, it appears that we are using jQuery Migrate. Am I in the proper branch? Hold on a second. Let me just go back here to GitHub DNN software. There was something about jQuery DNN platform, pull requests, jQuery. Doesn't have to be open. Upgrade jQuery to 311. This got merged into development. jQuery Migrate DNN. So we were using jQuery Migrate 121 and now it's 300. So yeah, that appears to still be an issue. And if I take a look at the jQuery documentation for jQuery.data, there's no deprecation or anything marked on it. And there's also no version, as far as I can see. So yeah, let's accept that and move it to, that would be a bug, that would not be a breaking change. So I would assign this as a bug. And on the next minor release, in the next minor release 941, and there we go. Then I refresh this and we have one less. Incorrect behavior while adding the new user to the folder permission. On adding new user to the folder permission of site assets, Then default permission value should be view folder when user is added. After having the newly added user, that user should persist in the application. Login as super user, go to site assets, edit button in the folder, go to permission tab, reserve to user. Yeah. Save button. So let's see if that's still the case now. I already have this here. So let's go to first I need a user. Now this user here is currently an administrator. I'm gonna create a new user. I'm gonna call it user. And I set up email address as username, so I'm gonna call it this. Cool. Now login as super user, that's already the case. Go to site assets. Click on edit button in the folder. Let's add a folder. Test folder. Standard. Then the permissions tab, which I think is here. Let's put this bigger. Permissions. Can add a user at. Well, that's not great. Probably should set a different display name. This guy here. Display name. I'm gonna call it folder user. Back to site assets. Test folder, properties, permissions, folder user. Folder user. Add. Save. Let's go to the home page. Let's go back to site assets. Test folder. Properties. Permissions. Should be view folder. It is. When user is added, after saving the newly added user, the user should persist in the application. That looks fine to me. There we go. So cannot reproduce that one. Next. .NET Nuke, entities, modules, module control. It currently requires module ID, tab ID, and ignore cache, but tab ID can be replaced by null. It's true. So when you're in a context where you don't have a tab ID, such as in a schedule task, and you need to get that information, you can pass null for the tab ID, but it's neither documented, neither is that a required parameter. So I think we should have an overload which does not take the tab ID, and that overload should have proper documentation that it's going to return the first found module, basically, that matches that criteria, which is exactly the same behavior, just a bit easier on developers that use that method. It doesn't require any change. This is simply prerequisite that could not require change to the DB layer. Just wanted to make sure your Jquery supports passing null or no. We'll probably submit a pull request. So that was by me. That is an enhancement. It's not a breaking change, but because it's not a minor bug, I'm still gonna put it on the next major, since it's kind of not something rush. It's just an improvement. That can change, if we have more 9.4x releases, maybe we bring it down. If we're tight on releasing 10, we could push this to 11. So it's just, better than not having it assigned to anything. So username validation problem here. When creating a username with less than 5 characters, the validation message username specified is invalid. Please specify a valid username. Looks like a good validation rule, but it's a problem when you upgraded from an older version and you already have users with username and 5 characters. You can't update these users anymore. I don't think that is a DNN thing. I think that's a setting, an ASP.NET setting in the web config. I think there should be no validation on old users that have a username less than 5. There should be a setting to enable, disable this validation. Length required, which should be a setting. Well, first let's try it. Oh, I have emails as username, so I cannot try that. I need to go in security, member accounts. No. Yes. Registration settings. Use email address as username. That is false. So why did I have the problem earlier? That is false. Users. Okay. So yeah, that's something. If we go into config manager, edit the web config, username, no. Server settings, no. That should be a server setting. Well, let's go open the actual file. Hmm. Yeah, it is in the web config. What did I miss? ASP.NET membership provider. Connection string name, enable password retrieval, enable password reset, request question answer. Min required password length. I thought this would have been in here. Hmm. Well, at any rate, that would be an issue. At least the message should be a little more clear, because it kind of sucks for a user to not know why he cannot create his account. Uh, and there's some short names like Bob and stuff, so yep. So let's make that a bug, and let's put that in 941. Multi-language AUM. So AUM is Advanced URL Management, passing correct URL parameters to transform friendly URL to query string. That looks to me like something inside of a module. By default, running advanced URL format. The returning URL looks like this. The transform friendly URL to query string method that needs to be implemented by providers will see the correct URL params parameter containing one array entry. Yes. As soon as you enable multiple languages on a site under admin, wait a second. Running advanced resulting URL looks like this. Page name param1. There should be a parameter and then its value. Entries like this, yes. I think there was already discussions on this. Nope. Incorrectly populated, breaking the parsing URL extension provider. The URL extension provider is unable to correctly guess and separate between what is actual query parameter and page. Really? To confirm the inconsistency, the article here states the URL parameter should exclude the page path and therefore language too. That's what I was thinking. URL params a string array of the URL segment 1, segment 2 in the URL, after the site alias and page path have been matched and removed from the entire URL. In this example, it would be an array of one position with my item in it. Please fix this ASAP as it breaks the advanced URL badly. Create a new extension URL provider. In that case, transform friendly URL to query string. Needs to be implemented by provider. In normal situation, when multi-languages are not enabled, parameters passed to this function will be correct, i.e. page name and all other prior segments won't be part of parameter list, assuming URL was site.com, page name, param1, page name, won't be in param list. Now if we enable multi-languages params, passed to above function now contain lang identifier as well as page name. Expected behavior should be even after enablement param passed to. Okay, there's a couple related things. Yeah, there's a couple things here. So let's see this one. So this one is 2335, this one is 2336 right after. Okay, so that's a pull request for that issue. So that the URI will contain a language code different from the one in the result culture code. Changes. Okay, so this was closed in February 2355. And 2355 is here and is open. This is the previous one. Yeah. Worked around. I would prefer not to include this breaking change in 9.3, but will live for the rest of the... So I think this could go into 10 and have more reviews as a group. I think I found a better way as 2759. Yes, that too. When you rewrite controller resolves a URL, it loops through all existing portal events for each alias. At some point it calls this method. Emergence of unit and integration test result, but I haven't had enough time yet. When the rewrite controller results a URL, it loops through all existing portal aliases, and for each alias at some point it calls this method. Rewrite parameters from module provider. Let's see more lines here. Okay, rewrite parameters from module provider. If result.tab ID, what is result? URL action. So we don't rewrite the parameters. We don't give a new action, and we just return the new URL. New URL being I don't know what. I think this needs more testing than I want to spend on this right now. But there seems to be an agreement to move this to 10. I don't know. Well, let's try at least to remove the duplicates here. So those are 3 pull requests. Now this one is closed, that's fine. Now these two, yeah. I'm gonna make this as a bug, and I'm gonna add the pending verification. So that's stuff that we need to handle maybe as a group. Unable to use email address as username when custom registration form is enabled. That was reported for version 921. There's steps to reproduce, so let's try it out. Login as admin, choose persona bar settings security, select member accounts, registration settings, custom. Security, registration settings, the form is custom. The option to use email address as username disappears. Save that. Didn't even save it. Custom. Save. Oh, that's great. What is wrong with this? The request is invalid. Why? That's fun. Username, email, password, save, refresh. Okay, I don't know what was invalid there. So this is not here. And if we use standard, then it's here. Yeah, I don't see why that would need to not be there. That looks like a bug to me. The bug should not be any breaking change. Let's put that in 941. Next. Email not sent when user is authorized. On a site with there was discussions on this. No, I kind of feel like there was some duplicate about this. Let's do this and let's open or not. I don't care. Email. There's this. Registration. This. A lot of stuff. Let's go back to the original issue. Site setup for private registration. So if we go in the registration type, so none, nobody can register except an admin or the host. Private, that means people can register, but you need to authorize them. Public, everybody registers, and verified, the user verifies himself through an email. So private, that would mean they can register, but then someone needs to accept it. User registers, email is received by both user and site admin. Site admin authorizes user, either via the authorized link or via persona bar manage users. User does not receive confirmation email that he's been authorized. User should receive that he's been authorized. There should be. Let's put this back as private. Let's read the other issue. Send an email to new user is not working. That's not the same. Let's test it. Maybe that got fixed. So back to users. Are my email settings. I'm just gonna move this here. Servers, server settings. My email settings are working. Okay, back to users. And let's add a user. Five, whatever. I'm gonna send it to this email. Did I set that's not the way I should do it. So I should be making sure in security settings that we have private. That's good. And now I should log out and I should register as a user. So let's try Valadas 5. So an email with your details has been sent, and now I should have that in my emails. And I do. Thank you for thank you for registering. And now the admin. Let me just check on the other box. And Outlook is acting up. So let me kill it. It's gonna go the way of Old Yeller. And yeah, new user registration. Now, if I come back and log in, and users and unauthorized, and I take this user here, authorized user, and I receive an email. You have requested a password reset token for my website, but your account is pending approval. Password can be reset after account is approved. That's odd. Well, there's a bug there. So just try the 940RC and having a slightly different issue. I get the password. I'm sorry. Reset email instead of the authorized email. Paste this here. XXXXX, you have requested a password reset token, but your account is pending approval. Strange, right? So yeah, there's a bug there. And that would be nice to fix in 941. Boom. When username field is changed to email address, then system allows user to log in into the application by entering username into the email address field. When username field is changed to email address, the system allows user to log in into the application by entering username into the email address field. For login page, when username field is changed to email address, then system allows user to log in into the application. That's 3 times the same sentence. This will happen only one time. Login as the super user when user can log in into the application using username. Change the setting to use the email address as username. Log out from application. Now enter the username for newly created user, existing user in the email address field. Refer precondition. In my case, it's content editor. What? Enter the password for newly created user. Content editor. Hit the login button. System allows user to enter into the application when we enter username into the email address field of login page. This happens only once. After that, if we logged out and tried to log in the application again by entering username in the email address field, then system gives error of invalid username password. System should not allow user to enter into the application when we enter username into the email address field of login page. I do not understand this. Hold on a second. If I go to security, member counts, use email address as username, on. The hell? Okay, why can't I save this now? Because I have multiple users with the same. That error message should be better. Okay, let's switch to another site. Security, member accounts, registration settings. Require, no. Use email address as username and save. Boom. So, login as the super user. Change the settings to use the email address as username. Log out from application. Now enter the username of a newly created user, existing user, in the email address field. Enter the username, yeah, but where? Of newly created user, existing user in the email address field. of adding a new user. Enter the username. Well, the username is now required to be an email address. So that's a newly created user. Then what? We log out and log back in, and it's asking for the email address. That works. Well, there we go. One less. Please restore replace page from template. Replace page from template. In DNN 8, this was an option under Pages admin menu. It allowed you to replace an existing page using a template. I think that this has disappeared in DNN 9. I wasn't able to find 9.2.1. I'd like the old functionality to return from a template, but that doesn't include all of the possibilities available before, and the old way was very easy to do. I continue to find that to delete the originally created page. Yeah. I don't use that feature much, but yeah, I can see that. Let's log out, log in. Yeah, now it's email, so should have more pages here. Oh, I switched sites. Yeah, so that one, let's go to, I don't know, test tags. And if we add a page, then we can select the template. Yeah, I can see that. That's the thing. Everything that got removed is kind of hard to decide on what's a bug and what's a feature, you know, because it was officially removed. But I understand if you upgrade, you're kind of used to have that, so it's not really new. I think I'd put this as a. Actually, that's probably a UI thing. I would really doubt that the underlying functionality is not there anymore. So I'm gonna actually move this to admin experience. Member directory. Have to role set up one of the members and on for associate member. What? Create a page for member directory and a page for associate member directory. Also added the profile for company name, install module and associate page, modify template to show company name. Under member directory setting, filter and sorting, group, associate member, everything seems to work fine at this point. No login shows company name and member name. After login, it shows phone and email. That's probably just what I want. Okay, cool. But then I install a member page. Under member directory settings, filter by member. No login, just shows member name, no company name on some members, but shows on a couple of members. After logging, everything seems to be okay. Properties are displayed based on permission. Each member may determine view permission for each of his profile property. If this is limited to registered users of specific roles, authenticated users will not be able to see this data. Please check permissions in user profile. Yeah. So that's more of a question. Increase role name length. Just going to max length of 50. Wow, that's. Update the roles table and make the role name column an nvarchar 150 or higher. We use roles a lot to associate DNN users to industries and departments, and with a length of only 50, we have to abbreviate or utilize naming conventions. We have performed this on several sites by completing the following. I agree 50 might be a bit too small, but considering nested roles in the future, we should not make them too large, which would prevent us from creating an indexing role path. From creating and indexing role paths. Wouldn't 100 characters? I was going to wait in 50 seemed about right, so it's only for the name or something in the system. It would be too long. Drop down checkboxes. Yeah, also there could be an issue with multiple roles and storage. I would be a fan of nothing more than 100 for many reasons. The AD provider creates roles and might get issues with role names as they are created as domain, and therefore it might make sense to increase length of this property, still not above 100, but I wouldn't increase space for it in tables and forms. That would be enhancement and 941. Oh. Exception in module triggers Trio to redirect to default ASPX instead of showing error 500 page. We set the default page for 500 error page. What? We set the default page for 500 error page. Okay. After setting this, we were expecting to see the 500 error page with HTTP status code 500 when an error occurs. Instead, we're still redirected to the default with an HTTP 302 status code followed by HTTP 200 code. This could cause search engines to index the default ASPX page, which we don't want. It has the robots meta tag set to index follow. When an exception occurs, the set 500 error page should be shown with HTTP status 500. Yeah, I'm not even sure if that's possible. In my mind, 500 is a failed request and should return no content, I think. If this is a bug in DNN, I would recommend creating a GitHub issue. I'm not sure that's a bug actually, because you might want this behavior, you might not want it. Is this the desirable outcome though? Right now, when that exception occurs, I'm being redirected with a 302 and land on the default ASPX page with HTTP status code of 200. This will result in bad Google indexing for our website because the behavior isn't following HTTP guidelines. Yeah, but if you don't set a custom one, it does. The special pages are here. So basically, by default, none is specified. It looks to me like this is by design. So yeah, the way it works now is fine if that is what you want. If that is not what you want, then leaving it to default is one option, and adding a custom IIS rule is another option. I am closing this issue for that reason, and because most discussions about it happened outside of here. There we go. Date picker picks wrong date. I kind of remembered this with the time zone stuff. Oh, I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. Sign a rogue is yeah, the database server time zone needs to be ahead of GMT for this to happen. Run into a similar issue situation. His fix. If posted date of birth has value and posted date of birth value kind is UTC, posted date of birth to local time. Yeah, that's a bug that I don't know if it would be a breaking change actually, because people may have workarounds. I don't like this, but potential to be a breaking change. So pushing this to DNN10 milestone for now. Next, size of create folder pop-up too small in foreign languages. I agree, and that is planned for 10. labels, enhancement. Disable sending registration email still sends email to primary administrator. Go to settings, security, member accounts, user registration setting, uncheck receive user registration. Set user registration settings to private. Register a new user. Background option receive user registration notification has been added in 5 to notify administrators about new users on public and verified registrations, where no notification was sent before. For private registration, there was always admin notifications because the account needs to be authorized manually. Yeah, that kind of makes sense, yeah. Private registration? Yeah, that does make sense. We might consider creating a specific role for user administration and there are organizations where they can influence many users who should not gain access to site settings. However, this would be separate an entrance request. Superiors are not site members. There are plans to improve this. Currently, superiors don't have a site account. You may try to make a super user an ordinary site user, add to administrator's role, and make the users merge again. And I agree this would be like a separate enhancement. Cool. So I think for this session, I'm gonna do like these 4 and I'm gonna call it quits. I was hoping some people would join us, but I'm all here alone. Since the move to the persona bar, the make page private, make page public toggle was removed. I get clients asking where this is, as it was an easy way to do this. I suggest adding this back to the edit page bar next to the add module buttons. It's easy to toggle the visibility of page. What do I think about this? So when we make a page public, all users can view it. When we make it private, yeah, that's another issue. Who should see it then? Just the administrators or just all the other previous roles? Or that toggle changes only the all users? I'm gonna move it to admin experience. For now. Possible to send email via SMTP implicit SSL. I think so. Any comments here? I'm using DNN733. I've tried successfully the following server and port combination to send emails. SMTP with or without port. It looks like using colon between server and port works for me. Yes. However, it did not work when I point to port 465. Sorry if I didn't explain myself well about this implicit SSL. Referring to MSDN, it seems that SMTP client class for system net mail only supports the SMTP service extension for secure SMTP over transport layer security as defined in RFC 3207. Comparatively, an alternate connection method is where an SSL session is established upfront before any protocol commands are sent. Is established up front before any protocol commands are sent. This connection method is sometimes called SMTP SSL or SMTP over SSL or SMTPS, and by default uses port 465. This alternate connection method using SSL is not currently supported, referring this alternate connection as implicit SSL. Here is a link I found on MSDN with more details. Is it possible to use the alternate connection implicit SSL in DNN? Here is a post on DNN forum. Yes, DNN is using .NET for sending emails. I don't understand what implicit means. DNN needs to call the server on an appropriate port. Did you try using comma instead of colon to separate mail server and port? Thank you for example. I've tried successfully the following server and port combination to send emails. Looks like using colon between server and port works for me. Did not work. If the connection needs to be established up front, this would require a code change in DNN. As far as I know, there is no connection established manually. DNN is just relying on ASP.NET sendmail send. You may post an enhancement request in the public issue tracker. Here I was about to suggest posting that in the forums, and in the forums it was suggested to post an issue. So kind of a round trip here. I don't know what to do with this one. I don't know. Here, another one on standby. Um, Expired portals do not provide warnings. Yeah, okay, so this is something. If a portal expires, no content is displayed, including the admin pages, host pages, and available to logged-in super users. But a portal admin is shown absolutely nothing that identifies that the portal is expired. Um, Tested on 922, it shows a message there. The hosting contract for blank expired on October. Please contact us for further information. Where does that warning appear? On every page, even for anonymous users. Super. Okay. That one was quick. Creating new pages as SSL is enabled when portal settings dictate. If a portal has been set to allow and enforce SSL by having the SSL enabled and SSL enforced settings, which are kind of poorly labeled, then the actions to create a new page should by default select the secure page setting so that the is secure data value is set on the tab settings in the database. Uh, on the tab, I'm not sure that's the meaning of that, but it might be. List the steps to reproduce the behavior. Go to portal settings and confirm that the SSL option for enable SSL and enforce SSL are checked, and that the site is properly loading host admin pages as HTTPS. For the admin pages screen, create a new page. Confirm the newly created page setting shows secure is not checked. That was reported in 789. What about now? Site settings. No. Security. More. Enable SSL, SSL enforced. It's kind of strange naming and behaviors. So save, and now we go to pages, and what happened here? Add page, and let's call it secured. Looks like that got changed. There we go. And we have one less page of issues. So I'm gonna cut this live stream before I fall asleep. I'm gonna start some music or some stuff. So see you later.